Welcome into BLTV Channel 6. I'm Brian Kell. We've reached out to many of the candidates that are in races throughout our service territory, and we have a candidate here with us. In fact, she's the current district attorney for the 31st Judicial District, Ms. Lisa Zavogiannis. Lisa, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me here, Brian.
Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I've lived here in this community for 33 years. Been married to my husband for 36. His name is Jimmy. Of course, a lot of folks know him. He owns the Gondola Restaurant. We've been in business here for a long time. We have 3 children, and I have 2 grandchildren. And I can tell you that grandchildren are definitely the best. So we've been married for a long time. We have a great little family. We work in this community. We do everything we can to support it and help it, and we're just proud to be part of it.
Good deal. Explain to us what task you typically would delegate to assistant district attorneys.
Well, an assistant district attorney is sort of like a deputy is to a sheriff. They can do almost anything that I can do. Primarily, they help with investigations. They have a caseload. They carry a caseload and prosecute criminal cases. They also assist law enforcement, answer questions for them. I mean, it's not uncommon for them to be called at 3 or 4 in the morning. And they help do training. That's primarily what they do.
What are your recommendations for increasing successful prosecutions?
Well, you know, we have about a 96% conviction rate. And so I guess when you're talking about increasing prosecutions, you really mean convictions, correct?
Yeah, we'll go with that, yes.
Okay. So we have about a 95% conviction rate, which is good. So what I'd really like to talk about is those 5%. That 5% that's not a conviction rate. And those are, you know, if a good trial attorney can tell you that there are 3 types of cases. There are good cases, bad cases, and those that are in between. So the good cases, we get a good trial attorney will tell you that those are usually pled out. You do plea bargains on your good cases. The bad cases, we dismiss. We have to. Then there's those in between. Those cases that could go either way. And that's your 5% that's out there. Mm-hmm. So those are cases that you may have a missing witness. You may have a witness that passes away. You may have a suppression motion. Maybe some of your evidence was suppressed. Maybe some of your evidence was lost. Those are the cases that you usually go to trial. Those are the cases that can go either way. Now, if I wanted a 100% conviction rate, I could have that. And DAs that are concerned about a 100% conviction rate will dismiss those 5%, not me. That's because victims deserve their day in court. And if we have a reasonable basis to go forward with those cases, then we're going to try them. That's what we do. That's that other 5%. So I don't know how, I'm not going to say I'm going to increase them because I'm going to continue doing the things I'm doing. I'm going to get the convictions on the good cases, and I'm going to try those that are in between.
Yeah. Which procedures would you implement to address any criminal prosecution backlogs, if there are any? Do you feel like there are backlogs, and how would you address them?
Oh, sure, there's backlogs. Absolutely. You know, when I took office in 2006, we had a tremendous amount of backlogs. And I didn't complain or whine about it. I did what a good leader does. We rolled up our sleeves, we went to work, and we caught that backlog up. Now, no one expected the pandemic to hit and close the courts down for over a year. So there is definitely a backlog. But I do believe that I am the most qualified to catch that up. It will take, though, more than just me. It will take the judges. It will take law enforcement. It will take everybody in the judicial system, the clerks. It will take us all to get this backlog caught up. But I know that I'm the best served to do that. And I know that I've done it before, and I'll do it again.
As district attorney, how would you handle a fatal use of force incident involving local police?
Well, unfortunately, I have experienced that. I know what the procedures are, and they're pretty simple. When you have anything involving law enforcement, you have a duty to contact TBI. You need a unbiased agency to be looking into that to make sure that you get the truth of the matter, because that's ultimately what, as a prosecutor, I seek, the truth. So we have a standard procedure that you always do, and that is to call TBI. You have to. Years ago, law enforcement were investigating their own agencies. And probably about 8 years ago, they actually made it mandatory that you call TBI. I've always called TBI because I've always known that we need that unbiased eye looking at this, but they're the most qualified, they're professional folks, and they know what they're doing.
What do you think is the most effective way to deal with low-level drug offenders?
Low-level drug offenders. Well, we have those. And the law provides specifically on some of those cases what you do. For example, simple possession of methamphetamine is required to serve 30 days. It's mandatory. It's not optional, set by statute. Some of those statutes specifically say what you're to do, and we follow the law. But I'm a firm believer in helping those that you can, and especially for low-level drug offenders. I think that if we can encourage them to get some rehabilitation and to address the issue of why they have the drugs, that I do that. Those that are low-level offenders that are repeat offenders, I don't take that same stance. I take a much stronger stance because they evidently didn't learn the first time. So I do think that we should encourage rehabilitation every opportunity we get, because I know and I've seen what a difference it makes. But I will tell you the best thing, in my opinion, to affect drugs in general is to look at simple economics, supply and demand. If you have no demand for it, the supply will not be here. And how do we do that? We do that by working in prevention. And I have done that for 16 years. I've been in those schools. I've been working with the children, giving them the right information so that they know the dangers of what they're messing with. I am proud to say that I've done that. I don't have a stats to tell you how many children we've been able to keep off drugs. But I can tell you this, that they come up to me and they tell me. They talk to me. And I have done that, and I intend to continue to do that.
Do you feel pretrial incarceration is a problem in this area? And if it is, how would you safely reduce the rate of pretrial incarceration?
Well, I looked at that question and I thought, Brian, that really didn't have a lot to do with what my job is. And I think sometimes, everybody thinks that if you're in the judicial system and you're the DA, you control every aspect of the judicial system. And that's a misnomer, because you don't. Pretrial incarceration is based upon bonds. And I don't set bonds. The bonds are set by the judicial commissioners, and they are set by the judge. That's who sets the bonds. Now, what I do is I react to those bonds when necessary. If a bond is too low, or if a violent offender files a motion to reduce a bond, I have one set tomorrow. We're going to fight that, because my job is to look at the safety of the community. So is pretrial incarceration a problem? Depends on who's looking at it. From my perspective, no. My job is to make sure that the community is safe. I do know that some of the low-level drug offender cases have low bonds. There have been a few situations in which someone couldn't make any bond. If that is the situation, we look at them on a case-by-case basis. We look at the statutory guidelines on setting bonds. Is it set appropriately? And we act appropriately on a case-by-case basis. So from my perspective, I worry more about, are we keeping the community safe? Do we have those bonds high enough? If they're high enough, are we able to keep those bonds intact?
Lisa Zavogiannis here with us, current district attorney. We've got about 5 minutes left in this segment. Maybe talk to the people out there watching that are considering who to vote for when it comes down to the 31st Judicial District. Take it away.
Well, I can tell you that there's a huge difference between me and my opponent. The simple word is experience. I've been doing this job for 16 years. I know how to do it. I have not lost a murder trial in the last 8 years. I have convicted thousands of drug cases, hundreds of methamphetamine cases. I have the highest prosecution rate in the state of Tennessee when it comes to protecting elders. I have worked tirelessly in our schools. I have worked in Nashville. You go to Nashville when you see that there's a need in your community. And as bad as I hate the drive to Nashville, I've gone down there many times to strengthen our laws, to get the necessary resources for the office so that we can serve you better, the community members. I have worked to protect our seniors. I've actually been able to create laws to protect and investigate elder abuse. As I said, we have the highest prosecution rate in the state, not because we have more cases, not because we have more elder abuse, but because we work those cases. We work tirelessly to do the right thing for this community. I'm proud of the work I've done. I have the experience to continue to do it. And I ask that you support me and allow me to continue doing this good work. We need to continue moving forward. We do not need to go backwards. I've been accused of being in the good old boy system. I thought that was sort of humorous, really, because if you think about it, I've never had an election that I haven't been opposed. If you look at who the good old boys support, it's not me. They've made their choice who they support. I'm here for you, the everyday folks. You are who I represent. I would appreciate your vote. I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
District Attorney Lisa Zavogiannis, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching here on BLTV Channel 6. You can catch our live election coverage Thursday, August 4th, starting at 7 p.m. right here on Channel 6 and 306 in HD. Also, we'll be offering that same coverage on our Facebook account, Ben Lomond Connect Facebook account. That'll be live. And then also at our Ben Lomond Connect YouTube channel that will also air live on our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you real soon.